All right, hello. Starting a few minutes late. My kids didn't want to go to bed. They just want to stay up. I don't know what the deal is tonight. So I guess it's one of those Mondays. So I'm going to wait a couple seconds to have some people jump on. Start talking about Block 6. We are 2/3 of the way done. Block 6. Started a live video for a couple seconds, then my son didn't want to go to bed, so I had to tell him to go to bed. So sorry about that. I'm back. So Block 6. It's like kind of like a divided geese, if you like to call it, or somebody said split geese. I know a lot of people are starting to hate me for all the half square triangles out there. And if you don't want to do half square triangles, of course, definitely use geese for that center row. Let's see. Say hi if you're out there, because I'm not seeing any comments. I want to make sure I can see comments. Because nothing's showing up right now. It does this all the time to me, and I'm not sure why. Yay, hi, Tammy. Okay, cool. I can see comments today. So, you don't hate me, thank you. I know, trimming all the half square triangles can be a pain, but you get a lot better results. I find you get a lot better results than if you were just to make your half square triangle like a 3, 4 and 7/8, sew it down the center and cut it. You might have a little bit wonky, you know, if it wouldn't come out a perfect square. So I like trimming them, but you know, that's the one benefit of us only doing one block a week. You only have to do 16 little squares instead of the whole quilt, which that's a lot more. So you know, it's not that bad. And this one was all half square triangles again. So I guess this one and which other one was it? Another one. I'm tired. It's kind of late. That one was this and another one was all half square triangles. So it's a little bit of divided geese, right? Split down the center. This one, I didn't have to really worry about directional print for the centers. Some people want to use flying geese. You can. Go for it. Basically, you want your geese to end up being 8.5 unfinished by 4.5 unfinished. And then when it's finished, like this center one measures 4 by 8. And so to get that, you would cut out an 8.5 inch rectangle and 2 4.5 inch squares, and you can sew them on this diagonal. You just want to make sure that seam, it's right there, because then when you flip it over, if it's too far in, your geese is going to be too small. And especially since some people are using the 4-in-1 method. If you do that 4 geese in 1, you Google no waste flying geese 4-in-1. You got to make sure to use a scant 1/4 inch seam for those, because if you make your seam just a tiny bit bigger, and since you're just taking the one square, putting 2 on the edges, cutting it, I should have showed you guys that. But if you make your seams too big on that 4 geese at one time, your geese are going to end up to be too small. So, you know, accurate seams, you know. I know if you weren't doing accurate seams on your first few blocks, switching to that now will make your blocks not the same size. So, if your first blocks ended up being like 16 inches, it's okay if your geese end up a little bit smaller than 8.5 by 4.5, because all your other blocks are ending up that way too, you know. You want to be consistent throughout the whole quilt, so all your blocks are the same. So yeah, so this one, I didn't really have to worry about directional. I kind of, I know the previous weeks I had told you guys about directional prints, getting them to face the same way, right? My center ones, I didn't really have to worry about that. But if you have center ones that are directional prints, like say my diamonds down here, my diamonds, these are directional print, but since they're all facing kind of the same way, you would want to cut them the same way. Actually, cutting them the same way will make them go the same way just for this one, right? But if you're going to do it for the center one, like this, and you want them to go all the same way, you would need to, I know it's kind of hard to see, do your half square triangles 1 or 2 sets this way, 2 sets this way. And that way your geese will all, the directional print will all go the same way. So, I know it's kind of confusing because like this one, I'm like, okay, I'll try that directional print tip for this one. But since they're all kind of facing the same way, it doesn't work out. See how they're not facing all the same way. But, you know, I'm not too big of a stickler on that. I'm not going to recut my squares and resew my quilt up. It's good. I like it that way, right? So if you guys have any questions, just shout them out. I want everybody to be as prepared as they can for this quilt. You know, I know there's a lot of first timers in the group, and I want you guys all to feel like if you have a question, you're being heard. And I know whenever you post questions in the group, you will probably get like 30 answers, which is really cool because everybody in the group, you know, I thank you all for being so helpful. And I know I can't get back to everyone right away. I don't have my phone on me all the time, or I'm making dinner, or, you know, taking care of my children or sleeping, because this is a worldwide group. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping everyone, being such a great group that way. You know, it makes my job a lot easier if you guys are all helping each other too, you know, helping people find the link. It's always in the pinned post. So if you are on a computer, the pinned post is the very first post. You say you log into the discussion group, you click on the group, it'll be the very first post. This week it's still mine. Usually it'll be Justin's or somebody from the National Quilters Circle, but this week it was my post with my picture. But I will always put, whenever I make a post in the group, I'm trying to share the current link. That way it just keeps getting out there and you guys can find it, because I know that's one of the biggest frustrating things. Like, I can't find the link. How am I supposed to make the block, right? So, you know, I'm trying to help out with that. If you guys ever have questions, you know, tag me, and you can tag me by doing the @ Andrea Smith, and that'll tag me in your post. And then I can try to get back to you as soon as I can. I'm so glad. Peggy, you're addicted. I'm glad. It is addicting, right? It's like, for me, it's like putting a puzzle together. You know, you cut out all these pieces, and then you're arranging them, and it's kind of like a puzzle, putting all the little pieces together, and then you have this finished quilt that you're going to have forever, and you can snuggle in. Melissa, you haven't missed much. I just started, so if you guys have any questions along the way, just let me know. You know, basically, since all these blocks are, most of them are half square triangles, so the assembly, they're going together fairly the same. So my directions, you know, I have you make the half square triangles, and then I have you do them in rows, right? I have you put them together in rows. If you feel more comfortable with this week's doing geese in the center first, see how these are actually geese, making geese, go for that. Or even if you just want to do the half square triangles and sew the geese together first. It's kind of hard to get both of me and that. Sew these geese together first, and then sew this whole center row together, and sew these two on. Sew it that way. You know, I just do it how you are comfortable putting it together. I don't want you to go like, this is not how I'm used to doing it. I don't do it like Andrea. I'm more comfortable doing it my way. Do it your way, you know. I want this to be fun and enjoyable for everyone. You know, so, you know, if you want to make the geese first, this center row, that might be easier. The center row, put those together, and then attach the sides. That's good. Let's see. I don't know, there's not much, you know, since you guys got those half square triangles down, getting to be pros at them, you probably don't have much questions. This is fairly, you know, similar to other ones that were half square triangles, and you just kind of moving them around. I know there's a lot more new people. It seems like every week we get 1,000 new people. We're over, we're like at 13,400 people in the group. This like really boggles my mind, you know, because I was expecting a couple hundred people, and for that many people to be signed up, and over 20,000 people actually click that join button on the National Quilters Circle website. That's crazy for me, because I'm pretty new at pattern writing, and so to have that many people making a quilt I designed, that is like a dream come true. So thank you everyone for signing up. And I know a lot of people have been asking, is there going to be another challenge? And I know that National Quilters Circle does plan on having more challenges in the future, another with different designers. So if you're interested in that, email them on their Facebook page. You can email them saying you're interested. Personally, I'm not going to do the next one. So if you guys are interested in seeing any of my new patterns or see what I'm working on, I have a Facebook page, and that is facebook.shop Happy Cloud, or Facebook / Shop Happy Cloud Creations, and I'll put that link up in the video if you guys want to see what I'm working on. And when I am getting ready to get the patterns done, I ask for pattern testers. I'll take like 5 people and have them test my pattern for me, because I don't want to send this pattern out and people are like, I do not understand this at all, you know. So follow me, and I'll share that link with you after I'm done with the video. And also I'm on Instagram, and that's Happy Cloud Creations. You know, just basically Happy Cloud Creations. So if you want to follow me on there too, that's cool. And also on Instagram, if you're posting your pictures, this is the official, is that going the right way? There we go. The official hashtag is NQC Quilt Challenge. This is the hashtag that, National Quilters Circle is looking for, and they've been posting pictures on their Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, use this hashtag and they will see your blocks. Hashtag see your blocks. Andrea, again, you're welcome for the free pattern. I haven't actually made a free pattern before, or a sampler pattern for that matter, and so I thought, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. And the full length pattern will be available at the end of the challenge. It will have full cutting instructions in the beginning. It'll have the diagrams and the alternate colorways, and it'll have everything in the pattern. So if you're not like printing out all the patterns right now, you can wait till the end and print them out if you're just looking at them digitally, because then you'll have the full length pattern with the cover photo and everything. I don't know if nobody has questions about this pattern, this block. I guess, I don't know. I can talk a little bit about next week's. I know everybody's scared about block 7. A lot of people are just kind of like, I don't know. I know more experienced people are probably okay about that, but newer people are probably like, it's totally different. Connie, thinking about what kind of batting to use. Is there a different workability experience besides hand quilt? I've never hand quilted. I use a walking foot on my machine for my straight line quilting. I used to use my presser foot, just like the basic foot that comes with your machine. And I used to use that for straight line quilting, and it worked fine. It just sometimes on the back, if I didn't have my quilt flat enough, there would be a little bit bunching, and I'd have to seam rip it and redo the quilting. But it works too. You know, whatever foot you have will work. Yeah, so next week, it's really not that bad. I know people are a little worried about it. So the only issue people might have, I have the quilt here, just to give people a little heads up. The only issue people might have is if you are not doing an accurate fourth inch seam allowance. If you're not scant, like people had some issues with block 2. Block 7, you're going to start out with your square, right? Down here. And then you're going to attach this top piece. And they're going to be the same. 4.5 inches, right? Length. So if you are not doing a scant fourth of an inch, this piece right here that you attach will be too long. But you don't want to all of a sudden switch to a 1/4 inch scant if you haven't been doing that the whole time. Because your blocks, say some of my blocks are 15, all my blocks are 15.5 inches. You don't want this one to end up being 16.5 and all the other ones are 15.5, right? So when you attach this one to the top and this one's a little longer, first either you could, before you sew it on, measure this piece. How long is this piece? That's how long your strip needs to be. Or you could sew the strip to here and then trim it off. Square it up with a square ruler to make sure it is perfectly square before you go and add this piece. And continue doing that, making sure it's perfectly square so that when you come up to these aren't going to be all wonky. You want to make sure that, because they'll be a little bit longer if you're not doing a 1/4 inch scant seam, because that's the math. You know, each one has a 1/4 inch minus a 1/4 inch, so minus a 1/2 inch, it's going to be perfectly worked out if you use that scant. But if you're doing less, these strips will be longer. So, you know, just keep that in mind. If my strip's a little bit longer, that's because my seam isn't a scant, and, you know, none of mine are, so that's okay. Just as long as, you know, trim those little edges up. And then when you get up here, I have not tried it at, like, bigger than a scant. So when you get up here, if these don't match up, these could be your options. So this should end up being the size of your other blocks, right? Because it's the same dimensions. It's the 4.5 inch half square triangles cut down to the 4.5 inch, right? So this definitely will be the size of your other blocks. The length of this will be the size of your other blocks. If this ends up being too small, you could put either like a tiny strip down here to make it the same size, because you'll attach this side one on first, right? Either like you'll want to attach it so that it is the same size. You'll want it to be the same length as this, and then you'll want the width to be the same width as this. So if you have to end up adding a tiny bit, maybe do it on the edge so it's the sashing color so you won't really notice. And then these lines might just come in a little. I don't know, I should have like done a practice one at a non-scant. I'm hoping it works out for you that these just end up being perfect on with the square in the center. If you have problems during the week, tag me and I'll see if I can help. Just hopefully, you know, that doesn't scare you. Just, you know, this is a learning experience, and have fun. Have fun. If you're stressing out, take a little breath and, you know, go eat some chocolate. Whatever you do to make you feel better. But don't stress out about it. It will work. It will sew together and we'll make you a quilt. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you know yours aren't scant, these strips are going to be too long, but just trim them and make sure it's square, and then it's not like turning into some weird diamond when you're making it, okay? Looking to the future, I know last week I talked a little bit about a walking foot. I broke down and I bought myself a free motion quilting foot. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to try that on one of mine or not, because you guys all convinced me. You're all talking about, oh yeah, free motion quilting. So I bought one and it's going to come tomorrow in the mail, so I might have to play around with that. I know in the group today or yesterday, I saw somebody was quilting their quilt, and they had pinned it all together using just regular pins. And after doing that for a while, I noticed I was just, when you're quilting, I was scratching my arms up from these. and that's not good. So what I recommend for basting, thinking about ahead, you want to have the things on hand when we get to that. I like using, if I can show you. What I use is, they're called, you can get them in different brands. They're curved basting pins, basically. And they have a little curve, so when that you put it through the layers, you know, it kind of pops back up. I like to use these, like, for small projects and big projects. But I really like basting spray. I saw somebody doing it on Instagram. I'm like, ooh, I gotta try that. So I tried it, and it actually keeps the layers together so well. I don't have to worry about, like the back never gets bunched up. I don't know if that's also because of my walking foot, but basting spray, there's a couple different brands. I get this one at Joann Fabrics. I'm not sponsoring anyone. No one is sponsoring me. So I like this one. And there's also 505 basting spray. So, you know, just thinking ahead that things you want to have on hand for the quilting stage. You either want to have some curved pins or some basting spray just to get that together. But in my final quilt assembly instructions, I do tell you that, you know, this is how I based, which is just a suggestion, because I know a lot of you out there have your set way and you do it your way. Go for your way. I want you to be happy. Oh, Teresa, you use this kind too? So I used this, and then one time I used 505, and I don't think the 505 worked as well. I don't know if it was because the way I applied it, it just didn't work as well for me. This, like, sticks really good. And I use my domestic machine. My throat's only, like, this big. So I spray it all, and then whichever way my quilt is, like, more narrow, like, say it's the width is more narrow, so I'll roll it up width-wise so that will fit through my machine and just keep it tightly rolled. How about diluted Elmer's glue? I have not tried that, Lenore. Has anybody tried diluted Elmer's glue as a basting? I have not. I don't know if that would work. It might. You just want to make sure that it wouldn't, like, ruin your fabric. But, you know, I used to use pins all the time, but then, like, by the time, like, most of the time you want to work from your center of your quilt out when you're quilting, right? And so you pin from the center out. And a lot of times I would get to the edges and I'd end up having to pin it, because it was just kind of like bunching in the back. With the spray based, I never have to do that. And I do the straight line quilting, so I start from the top to the bottom. I don't start for the center. I roll it, and then I start in the center, and I go from one side, and then I do the other side. Can you still hand quilt using the spray? I've never hand quilted. Does anybody use a spray based and hand quilt? I know I might overspray a little, because mine's like really good sticky, and so sometimes I can see a little bit of stickiness on my needle, my machine needles, so I'm not sure if it would be too difficult. If anybody knows, Meg's wondering, can you still hand quilt? Diane says if you use diluted glue, your needle will get sticky. My needle doesn't get very sticky. It just has, like, sometimes it'll have a little ball, but I think sometimes I overspray just because I don't want it to come undone. You probably don't have to do that much, but I do. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can hand quilt. If anybody's hand quilted with spray based, some more people are asking. Jennifer's asking too. Oh, Teresa says it works perfectly for hand quilting because it's not super sticky. Like, so I'll spray it and then smooth out, and if it's like my lines aren't completely straight, I can rip it back up off of the batting and then lay it back down again. It'll still be sticky, but it's not like it's glue. It's just kind of sticky. So another issue about this, some people don't like it because you end up having to mop your floors afterwards because the overspray. And so you want to make sure it's not on carpet or you don't, FYI, you don't want to get it on the back of your rulers if the rulers are painted on, because I did that and it messed up the back of my ruler, and like it took off the paint on my ruler because it was sticky, you know, so FYI, don't do that. Teresa does it in her garage. I don't have a garage. So, but that would be a good idea. Do it in your garage. It does wash out, because like it will get on my floor, but I'll mop it up. I can just wipe it with a washcloth, a wet washcloth, and it comes right up. And then it does wash out of your quilt. It's not stiff or anything like that. It's kind of a little tacky, you know, and it keeps the layers together. You could use this end pins if you want to be double safe. I've never tried that. Caroline says she uses binder clips on a large table. I've never done that. I usually just tape it down to my tile floor, and then tile's really easy to wipe up because I don't do it on my wood floor. I do it on my tile, so cleans up really good. But yeah, so I would recommend, I know we still have a couple of weeks away, but I know people are like, if they're not working ahead, I know people are still kind of getting excited about that point because it's like, we only have 3 more blocks. So it feels like, oh my goodness, we're going to have a quilt soon. And, you know, even after all the blocks are done, there's still a lot of work, you guys. We got to attach those blocks, and then we got to baste it, and then quilt it, and then bind it. But, you know, it won't take too long. We're going to keep the group open, so you guys aren't going to lose your friends. I know some people were worried about that. So, and then I can keep seeing, I want to see everybody's finished quilts, so make sure to post your finished quilts. We're going to keep the group open. Yeah, so it's basically temporary adhesive spray. Jean says she uses Sulky KK 2000 temporary, and you add pins. I just know I saw somebody using these little pins, and I'm like, I just remember getting my arms scratched up so bad from just using regular pins, because I had the curved big safety pins, you know, but I ran out, so I was using these too, and it just scratches your arms up, and then you don't want blood all over your quilt. That's gross. So I recommend not using stick pins. Use curved pins or spray-based. If I run out of spray-based, I use my pins, but I really like spray-based. And I don't use spray-based on pot holders because I don't wash my pot holders. Like the first time I use them, I use pins for my pot holders because I think this is flammable. So I wouldn't use it on pot holders or things in the kitchen. But like quilts, you're probably good. I don't know if there's anything. I feel like there was something else I wanted to tell you guys, but now I can't remember. If there's any questions, let me know. It looks like a lot of people do their spray basting in their garages, which that would be awesome. Before I bought my house, somebody converted our garage into a family room, so I have a family room with carpet, so I can't do that. Oh, it's more difficult to get. Yeah. I even like feel really worn out after I spread it out on the ground. It's kind of tiring. So like basting, I'm not in very good shape. Basting could be a workout for some people, and so you want to make sure you have some energy before you're going to do that. And if you can do it on a large table, that's great. These are not that big. If you're doing it per instructions, it could probably fit on a large table. Because per instructions, it's going to come out to 56.5 by 56.5 inch throw. So that's not like a humongous quilt, but it's not a small quilt either. Okay, so Crystal, you said you're trying to find the older videos. I know on the phone it's really difficult. If you have an iPhone, you go at the top and you push info and you can find the videos. But on like my Samsung phone, I can't find them. I will let's see, on a computer, they're really easy to find. It's like at the top it says videos, but sometimes you can search for Andrea Smith, or I will tag you in the video section, or is there a specific video? I can tag you in all the videos afterwards, because it's really hard. I can't find them on my Samsung phone. I have to like search for my name to find them. And anything, like if I reply to somebody's comment, if I like somebody's picture, all those will show up. So I will tag you after this video in the previous videos. Yes, Carolyn, I do. You roll it up before you start quilting it. Roll it tight, because I know people are worried about quilting on their domestic machine. I just roll it from one side to the other and shove it through, right? Is that what you guys do? What kind of batting do I use? I used to always use the Warm and Natural cotton, but then I started using stuff with white, and the Warm and Natural has some brown specks in it, and you could sometimes see the little brown specks through your white fabric. So I started using Warm and White, which is really nice. And then my husband wanted a little bit thicker, so I tried out that Warm and Plush by the Natural Company also. I really like that. That's a little bit thicker than Warm and White. It doesn't have the brown specks in it. It's more of a cream color, though, which isn't bad for white. You know, you just don't want those brown specks showing through. So I like cotton. I know, I guess that's not a worldwide brand, but I think it feels like, I don't know, cotton's more natural. Polyester is like basically plastic. I don't know. It feels like maybe cotton would last longer, maybe not. I know that I have a quilt that's like 15, 20 years old, and I use like the thinnest polyester batting, I think, at Joann's, and it feels like there's nothing in there. Like, I don't feel the batting at all. But then, like, I don't know, it's like different. I like the way cotton crinkles up. It crinkles up nice. This isn't like freshly laundered, but after it launders, it does shrink like 3%. So it kind of crinkles up and is a little poofy, and I just like the texture. It has a good weight to it, and that Warm and Plush is actually a little bit warmer too. I don't know, I might use that on one of mine, but this one I just use the regular cotton. I wish you could feel it. I like the crinkliness, and quilting closer together too gives it a little nice crinkle. You want to read your batting, because your batting will tell you must quilt at least 6 or less inches together, or 10 or less. So read your batting. Oh, Carolyn used Pellin cotton batting. I've never tried that. I did, I don't know what brand it was. I bought a cheaper brand at Joann's than the Warm and Natural, and I got it home, and there was like spots that were like super thin, almost see-through, and I was like, oh, I think I'm going to stick to the Warm and Natural. I like it, and I haven't tried anything else. I know there's also like Hobbs. Is there a Hobbs cotton also? Okay, Crystal, I will tag you in the #1 video, because the #1 video talks all about half square triangles and having them line up. So I'll tag you in that video, and then you can see it, or I could post the link in your comment and you can see it. But I'll do that after this video's done. Connie, no, you do not wash your cotton batting before. I know if you put it in the washer and dryer before you actually quilt it up and make it, it will fall apart. So you don't want to wash it. I wash it, after you quilt it up and everything, you wash it, and then it shrinks to 3%, and it gives it that nice crinkle. I like that crinkle. I guess if you don't want it to be that crinkly, you could line dry it and then iron it. But I like it crinkly. I like sitting there and feeling it. The nice crinkleness. Oh, you use a flannel sheet for inside your... Crystal, you say you use a flannel sheet for inside, like as the batting? I did that once when I made a tablecloth, because I didn't want it to be super thick. But like if you're snuggling on the couch, you might want a little more warmth if it's wintertime, and it's cold. The cotton batting will give you a little bit more warmth, and it's, you can say, hey, this is 100% cotton. Fancy smashy. Yeah, you could find, I know some quilters don't think it's a good idea because of the thread count to use sheets as backing, but I like it. Just because I can get 100% cotton sheets and you don't have to piece your back. You can just get a sheet that's at least 4 inches wider and longer than your quilt, and you don't have to piece it. Yes, you'll probably have to, it wears down your needle basically faster than quilter's cotton would. But sometimes, if you're just like, I want a cheap backing that I don't have to piece, that's quick and easy, go get a cheap a cotton sheet from Target. Sometimes they're like $10, Really, I've never tried the flannel as a just as a lining. I bet like if it was on a bed with a lot of other blankets too. I don't know, I get really cold. My feet get cold. Are there different thickness of cotton batting? What thickness do I use? Connie, well, like, I don't know, the brand I use, like the Warm and White, is a little bit thinner than the Warm and Plush, which the Warm and Plush, I can only find that at joann's.com online, and so I order it, but it's usually like 40% off, so it's not that bad, and sometimes you can get a free shipping coupon. It's a little bit thicker than the regular Warm and White. I don't know. I know somebody had written in the group that Hobbs batting comes in different thicknesses. I'm sure there's other brands. Like if you go to your local quilter store, they carry different brands, and they might come in different thicknesses. But I like the Warm and Plush. And the Warm and White is a nice thickness too, like for baby quilts and... most time people on a bed, if you're doing it for your bed, most time people have extra blankets and sheets and stuff. I just use my Warm and Plush on my couch and just that, and it's nice and toasty. I don't know. I guess that answers your question. I started rambling. But the ones I use are Warm and White, which is a little thinner than Warm and Plush, which I like Warm and Plush too. I guess, is there any other questions? It's 9 o'clock here. I'm sure you guys are all up past your bedtime. I'm not sure how many people on the West Coast are watching. West Coast. My kids did not want to go to bed tonight. It must be maybe there's a full moon or something soon. I don't know. So, I guess, I don't want this to be too long for you guys. Do I use flannel for backing? I haven't tried that. I've seen other quilters do that. That would be nice and cozy, too. I just recommend, like, say you washed all your fabric for the front. I would recommend washing your backing fabric if you're going to do that. If you didn't wash any of your fabric for the front, don't wash your backing fabric. I bet the flannel would be a nice and cozy backing. I haven't tried it yet. I made a flannel quilt. My very first quilt was flannel, and that's nice and cozy. But, it depends how thick you want it. If you want your quilt to be thin, lightweight, use flannel backing and just the top. You just want to make sure you quilt it good enough, or you could use two sheets of flannel, one for the center, one for the backing, and that would make a nice light quilt, but then also still give it a little bit of weight. You need your beauty sleep, Carrie. I had something on my phone, couldn't read your name. Yeah, I know. Today was a long Monday. I'm ready for it not to be Monday anymore. I use flannel backing with the Warm and Natural. I like the warmth. Oh, I bet I want to try that. Maybe I'll have to get some flannel. Watching from Canada and got off work and relaxing. Cool. Are you in Western Canada, Shannon? I'm in Washington. Pretty close to Seattle. I'm about an hour away from Seattle. Kalama, Washington. I don't know where Kalama, Washington is. Yeah, I like the warm line. It's kind of nice to get it out, Joann's, because you can get a 50% off coupon. And I am all about saving money. You know. Good night from Australia. Yeah. Is it pretty late there? UK, it's 5 a.m. Oh my goodness. I know somebody in New York asked me, oh, do you think you could do your video at 9 a.m. Eastern time? And I'm like, that would be 5 a.m. for me. I don't think I'm going to get up that early to do a video. I'm sorry, you guys. You can watch it tomorrow. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, you guys. You should go to bed. I hope you guys are excited about next week's block. I'm excited. You know, it's not as bad as everybody thinks it's going to be. It is a lot different. It's different than, it'll give you a little bit of a break from the half square triangles. You know, you only got 3 sets. Not bad. And strips are always fun. So, you know, this is what you got to look forward to. 11 a.m. on Thursday. Look for that National Quilters Circle email. And then a few minutes after 11 Central Time, it'll be posted in the group. I usually drop my son off at school at 9 o'clock, so I get here back by 9:05. 9:05 is when I get my email on the West Coast. And so as soon as I get that email, I will post the link in the group, because I don't want to post it before. I don't know. I feel like the newsletter should go out and then I'll post it. I've never made a weighted quilt, Melissa. On Pinterest, I know I saw people making weighted quilts. I can't remember one of my friends made one, and I can't remember what she used. Maybe she used like pellets in it or something. Look on Pinterest. Just, if you have Pinterest, search Pinterest for weighted quilts, because I can't remember what she used to give it that extra weight, you know, because I know some people need that extra weight to fall asleep. But yeah, so thank you all of you for signing up. That makes me so happy. And I'm loving seeing everybody's blocks. It looks really cool getting all 6 of those together, and we only have one more row left, you know, and really exciting. So everybody, I'll see you next Monday at 8:20 if you want to join me. And we'll talk a little bit about this block and see if anybody had issues, answer questions that you guys need answered, and if I can think of anything else to tell you. So thank you, everyone, for joining me. I will see you next Monday. Good night. Good night. Good night.